وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا ووسيلتنا إلى ربنا وغاية رغبتنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على هذا النبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحابته ومن نهج نهجهم وسلك مسلكهم واهتدى بهديهم واستنى بسنتهم واستمسك بعروتهم واسترشد برشدهم ودعا بدعوتهم وعمل بعملهم واهتمى بإمامهم وتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فيقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم تنزيله في أواخر سورة لقمان: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده ولا مولود هو جاز عن والده شيئا إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرحام وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت إن الله عليم خبير. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا واعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. صدق الله العظيم. I seek refuge in the Almighty Allah against Shaitan the accursed. And I want to start today's khutbah as usual in the name of the Almighty Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to the Almighty Allah. Praise be to the Almighty Allah. Praise be to the Almighty Allah. We thank the Almighty Allah. We praise the Almighty Allah. We appreciate the Almighty Allah. We acknowledge the Almighty Allah. We recognize the Almighty Allah. We salute the Almighty Allah. We commend the Almighty Allah. We magnify the Almighty Allah. We glorify the Almighty Allah. When we stop at that point, it doesn't mean that we have exhausted all the glorifications that the Almighty Allah is worthy of. We are stopping there because time is not on our side. By our original plan, this khutbah is supposed to be the second in the post-election sermon series, which we started last week, which is aimed at reviewing the 2015 electoral process in Nigeria. But as we occasionally remark, any man-made plan remains tentative until it is actually executed. This is because the real plan, which is the master plan, is always with the Almighty Allah. And nobody has access to that master plan until it pleases the Almighty Allah to make it open. This is why today our original post-election sermon series has to be interrupted by the perennial theme of death. Specifically, today's topic is at the instance of the sudden death of one of us, the staff of this university, our brother, Mr. Abdulghani Yahya of the Academic Planning Unit of the University of Unilorin. May the Almighty Allah overlook his shortcomings. May Allah forgive him, and may he be admitted into Jannatul Firdaus. To reflect on the least expected death of Mr. Abdulghani Yahya, we have 4 selected citations. The first citation is Quranic. The second is prophetic. The third is divine. And the last one is poetic. The Quranic citation runs thus: Ya ayyuhan nas, taqu rabbakum wa khashaw yawman la yajzi walidun an waladihi wa la mawludun huwa jazin an walidihi shay'an inna wa'adallahi haqqun fala taghurrannakum al-hayatu dunya wa la yaghurrannakum billahi al-ghurur. This verse is from Surah Luqman, Quran chapter 31, verse 33. O mankind, Ya ayyuhan nas. Why is the Almighty Allah inviting the totality of mankind? Because the theme, the topic involved, is not just for everybody. It's for whether you are Amanu or you are not Amanu. It concerns you. The theme of death doesn't recognize any religion. It isn't a question of you are a Muslim or you are a Christian or you are a Jew or you are a pagan or you are a free thinker. Whatever your religion, whatever your affiliation religious-wise, the Almighty Allah says death concerns everybody. Oh mankind, not everybody, not who you who believe. Even those of us who are too young, look at each other as if death has been considerate of age, it wouldn't have snatched Yahya at this point in time. So, we have to listen properly to the message of the sudden death of Mr. Yahya Abdulghani. O mankind, be conscious of your Lord and fear a day when no father can be of any help to his son, nor can any son be of any help to his father. Verily, the promise of Allah is true. So, let not this present life deceive you, nor let the master deceiver, that is Shaitan, nor let the master deceiver deceive you without Allah. We want to clarify that originally this ayah or verse was revealed in connection with Yawm al-Qiyamah, the day of accountability, the day of reckoning, or the day of resurrection. On that day, on the day of resurrection, nobody can be of any use to any other person. But we are saying that there are instances or circumstances even on earth, before the day of resurrection. There are circumstances, there are situations where no father can be of any use to his son. We are saying that there are instances or circumstances, even on earth, under which an individual cannot be of any use to another person. At the point of death, for example, before Yawm al-Qiyamah, at the point of death, before Yawm al-Qiyamah, for example, no father or mother can rescue his son or daughter from death. No child can save his or her parents from death. No wife can rescue her husband from the clutches of death, and no husband can help his wife out of death. This is vividly illustrated by the case of our deceased brother. It is more than painful that he left his father behind. Is that not instructive enough? Those of us who think we are too young to die. None of us is too young to die when it is time. وَإِذَا جَاءَ لِكُلِّنَ أَجَلٌ فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. It is more than painful to recall again that our deceased brother, who is the focus of today's khutbah, left his mother behind. It is more than painful to note that his wife and children became helpless when death struck. The wife is there, the children are there. The father is there, the mother is there. So do not deceive yourself. Do not allow the glamour of this life to deceive you. The wife, according to the Quran, could not rescue her husband, nor could the poor children rescue their most beloved father. That is the thrust or the core message of the Quranic citation, that we should always be conscious of the Almighty Allah, because death could strike at any material point in time, and regardless of our ages. Our dear brother was just 47. Our dear brother was just 47, having been born in 1968. But as we observed the other time, we all carry about our dates of birth, but we are ignorant of our dates of departure. That is all the more why, that is all the more reason we should be constant in our faith. That is all the more why we should be constant in good deeds, constant in our act of ibadah, constant in our positive engagement, constant in our daily prayers, constant at our Ramadan fast, constant as a good husband at home, and constant as a righteous wife. This is also why in Surah Al-Imran we are emphatically instructed that وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Oh, ye who believe, fear the Almighty Allah as He ought to be feared. You don't fear Allah personally. There is a criterion which should be followed. Be conscious of the Almighty Allah as He ought to be conscious of. And make sure that at the point of death, you die as Muslims. We need to note that it is not possible to fear Allah as He ought to be feared without being conscious of Him as He ought to be conscious of. You cannot be God conscious or fearful of the Almighty Allah without being an obedient servant of Allah as an obedient servant ought to be under all circumstances. It should also be added that unless you remain a Muslim under all circumstances, you can never be a Muslim at the point of death. We all pray that at the point of death, we should be Muslims. But unless we remain constantly Muslims, death will not catch up with us as Muslims. As we pray and hope that death will catch up with us while we are righteous, we should quickly recall that unless we are constantly righteous, death shall not catch up with us while we are righteous. This means that, number one, in order to die as a righteous person, you must be absolutely righteous at all times. We must be absolutely righteous at all times, not a little bit of righteousness today and a little bit of shirk tomorrow. Number two, in order to die as a Muslim, you must remain an absolute Muslim, Muslim in all respect, at all times. Not a little bit of Islam today and a little bit of Babalawo tomorrow. A little bit of Islam today and a little bit of Juju tomorrow. Number three, that in order to die as a faithful, you must be absolutely faithful at all times. Not a little bit of faith today and a little bit of shirk the next day. We are happy to observe at this juncture that our brother, our deceased brother Abdul Yahya, was born into Islam. That he led the life of a perfect Muslim, and at the point of death, he died as a Muslim. Oh. That is what we are happy about. Mr. Abdul Yahya was a gentleman to the core, a quiet, very quiet personality, a noiseless character. He doesn't make noise. He was a paragon of humility. He was an embodiment of righteousness and an icon of piety. With a master's degree in a no less a discipline than statistics, he never allowed that degree to enter his head. He did not wear it, nor allow it to push him into becoming arrogant. Yahya lived by the divine instruction that وَلَا تَغُرَنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَغُرَنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. He was never dazzled or blinded by the glamour or the glittering of this life, and he was never deceived by Shaitan, the master deceiver. Never was Yahya presumptuous. Never was he pompous, and and never was he insolent. This is one of the many reasons why on the day of his fidal prayer we saw that number and caliber of people who converged to participate in the special supplication session organized for him. The participants were phenomenal in both their quantity and their quality. The immediate past Vice Chancellor was there. The current Vice Chancellor was there. The Vice Chancellor at Hitman University was there. You can continue counting them. I know some of those who missed the occasion that are now regretting till today. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. But we should not treat these observations as just some pieces of personal remarks. They are not just personal remarks. I think, and very strongly too, that we should borrow leaf from Abdul Ghani Yaya's sterling character. We should borrow leaf from his humility. We should borrow from his gentlemanliness. We should borrow from his righteousness. We should borrow from his piety. We should borrow from his model of positive silence. And generally and finally, we should borrow from an exemplary way of life. The Unilorin Muslim community commiserates with Abdul Ghani Yaya's parents who are surviving him. We sympathize. The Unilorin Muslim community sympathize with the wife. We sympathize with the children. We sympathize with the immediate and the extended family of Abdul Ghani Yahya. We implore them to take solace in the divine citation which says, "Zabtalitu abdi fi nafsihi aw malihi fastaqbala dhalika bisabrin jamil istahaytu minhu yawm al-qiyamah an anshiba lahu mizana aw anshura lahu diwana." This is a hadith Qudsi, a divine pronouncement of the Almighty Allah, making pledge that when I put my servants, any of my servants, when I put any of them on trial by exposing him or her to an affliction, by exposing him or her to a tribulation, or by exposing him or her to any form of bitterness, and that servant cheerfully embraces the trial on the day of resurrection, and you have to listen properly here, to put a scale in place to weigh his previous activities on earth. In effect, this means that Mr. Abdul Ghani Yahya himself, his parents, wife, and children may be exempted from accounting for their deeds on the day of judgment. Ọjọ́ ti lọ, Adimara ìsọ Yorùbá náà, ṣùgbọ́n ẹgbẹ́ Yorùbá ni èèyàn kú ó fi bàbá sáyé, èèyàn kú ó fi ìyá lẹ̀, ta ló fẹ́ rẹ̀ wálé kù? Ta lọmọ ọlọ́mọ kan tó lè ṣe bí ọmọ fáwọn àyà wọn? Èèyàn kú ó fi ìyàwó lẹ̀, èèyàn kú ó fọmọ lẹ̀, ṣé wọ́n ṣe bí bàbá kan ó lè dàbí bàbá ẹni? Wọ́n ṣe bí ìyá kan ó lè dàbí ìyá tó bí ni? Wọ́n ṣe bí ọkọ kan só lè dàbí ọkọ téèyàn fẹ́ láàárọ̀ ọjọ́ ó ti wá ní tóun? Ẹgbọ́ ìwé òdùnnú tọ́lọ́ ń fún wa. ابتليت عبدي في نفسه أو جسده أو ماله فاستقبل ذلك بصبر جميل. حديث قدسي tẹ́mi ọlọ́run bá dá ẹrú mi kan wò mo gbé àdáwò bá bóyá nínú ara rẹ̀ àbí nínú àwọn dúkìá tí mo ṣe fún ẹni náà wá gba àdáwò náà tẹ̀rẹ̀tẹ̀rẹ̀ kò kárí wọnú ọgbà ọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run ló ti wá ìsàlẹ̀ ìtumọ̀ ọ̀yọ́ wọn kìyàmù wọn ní káàkiri kìyàmù ojú ó gba ìní Ọlọ́run ọba tì Ọlọ́run ti wà áyà tó olójú tì ń kó wá gbé òṣùwọ̀n bí ẹ wọ́n ṣe rẹ̀ wò kí ni ẹ tún fẹ́ wà nínú iṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú àdáwò láti fi kàrá yìí àní wọ́n ṣe rẹ̀ wò wá. A sì ní pọ́blíṣì àní tẹ ìwé iṣẹ́ rẹ̀ jáde kí ni a tún fẹ́ tẹ̀ jáde gbogbo tá a fojú rẹ̀ ní nílé ayé o tó fara máa tó fara dà ó ti gbé ká ṣe ìṣòro iṣẹ́ rẹ̀ ó ti gbé ká gbósùn mọ̀kálẹ̀ fún un. We pray the Almighty Allah to forgive our deceased brother, Mr. Abdul Yahya. We pray Allah to overlook his shortcomings. We pray the Almighty Allah to admit him into Jannatul Firdaus. We pray Allah to sustain his parents, to sustain the father and the mother. We pray Allah to strengthen his wife and children. We pray Allah to grant them the fortitude to bear the great loss. Please, distinguished members of this congregation, let those of us who can afford to wait after the Jumaat service do so for a short special prayer in favor of our deceased brother. Astaghfirullah innahu kana ghafara. Seek forgiveness from the Almighty Allah. Allah is ever ready to forgive and to forgive us. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. At this point in time, we remember our Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdul Ghani OON, who is away on the national assignments. May the Almighty Allah guide him aright always. We also remember Professor M.A. Akanji, one of us, who is away on a similar assignment. May Allah be with him. We pray for all other returning officers working in favor of the future of this country. We pray for the principal officers for our university. We pray for staff and students. We remember the Emir and the Emirate. We remember members of this distinguished congregation. We remember all in assembly. The Almighty Allah bless every one of us always. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم إنك تعلم من كل شيء وكل شيء خوف منك وبأمنك من كل شيء وبخوف كل شيء منك لأنه يخاف من كل شيء ولا يخاف من شيء. نجنا مما نخاف ونحذر انك على كل شيء قدير برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين يا ذا الجلال والاكرام 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 يا ذا الجلال والاكرام. اقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وسبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.